Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I sit on this side of your grandpa.
You can sit wherever you like.
We have assigned spots.
I just made that my spot.
Huh?
We have unassigned
How does it look?
Unassigned spots.
No.
You can sit there. It's icky. My spot.
You're talking in that way, right?
Yeah, I see it. That's what it's
Not hiding away.
There's someone else that's here. David. David messed up. Oh, duh. I can't believe I just said that. Literally, David and I talked about this.
Who's David?
I don't know who David is either.
Who's
Please do.
No,
You want me to wipe your tail? You want me to wipe your ears?
That's great,
Oh gosh, I don't think they clean these tables. They probably don't.
We need to have
Go gross.
the good old powwow. Can I?
My whole sophomore year of high school, I always sat at a table where the kid the hour before used his eraser a lot. It was my biggest pet peeve. Every day I'd have to use the Lysol wipe and wipe down my desk. Because it had eraser chunks. Like, how disgusting.
That's another thing to talk about.
Eraser chunks?
No, chalk. No, in general, the chalk things.
They still have chalkboards?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Armstrong too.
We love chalk. Or are we anti-chalk?
Chalk is disgusting.
It just sounds bad.
It sounds terrible.
It sounds gross.
I don't think you do some horrible things on chalkboards.
Yeah.
Oh God, James.
They sound like little turkeys.
Not the turkeys.
One of my friends has a really good turkey colony.
I have a question.
No.
Who is this?
That's me.
And
No.
who's black?
That's Maverick. I don't. Oh, that's. She was the one who was elected the same week, like the week after me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I suppose that doesn't really answer your question.
You look like no, that did. No, she's not.
No, you look like
See her, get out of here. You know advice. You're literally.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
That's what I say. That's how you think. Our work is to just
Yeah. Sorry, I
it's not really a lot of just about
Literally the mom.
Taz, why do you sit so far away? Oh my God, do I go? Sierra.
she's at the office. Oh, sorry.
The worst part is I can't go this time. I really want to. Yes, it was so fun last night.
You literally complained.
I literally had such a good time. I hung out with Noah for the rest of the night. It was amazing.
That you guys have a meeting, but that they only have to sign up for one of the time. So I'd like to sign up for both of them.
Who was there? Somebody was there last week, and I wanted to go. It's like a weekly thing. Who was there last week? That I was talking to.
I feel so bad.
Oh, Jordan from Shield. Remember I told you about Jordan? Drove Gabe around. I know I saw her this morning. I had a one-on-one.
I didn't get to see her. So this is just
Go join our one-on-one.
Should I do something that Bob will say?
Yes.
No.
Are you gonna reply
No.
your second?
Okay, well then I'll go.
No, I'm gonna require people to sit.
What day is it?
No.
No.
Not today.
No. Not today.
Not today.
Today.
I need my security of this spot.
We're just thinking that.
Yeah, probably.
Wait, what do they want to do? They want us to
Okay.
do last meeting.
I know.
Last meeting, you.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like the math.
And then you like.
Chargers are
We made everybody
I was like, no, we should still be at the same spot. It was like everyone would step up to be at the same spot. And so I was gonna require everyone to sit there and just sit there and never sat.
I like that. Yeah, that is like.
So
I'll just do it today. I'll do it.
we're wondering.
Please never do it.
Wild thing to make
Please just never do it.
this year
I like my
during
spot.
the international student resolution.
You are not moving when the president is presenting. He can review it on Zoom.
Please don't move when the president is presenting. He's a very busy person. But what?
Well,
what was
no,
your model
immediately
proposal?
following.
Oh,
Yeah, we
you
want
wanna?
motion up to like.
So then what you can do?
Like not moving them, just moving it right after.
Yeah, because we no longer have Vice President Moore.
Yeah.
So
So like before opus forum, but after the president's presentation.
I wonder if we're allowed to do that. If we're allowed to move stuff before the consent.
Yeah.
I think it's bad. I'll just say that. Not like I get the intent of him staying for it. If he's gonna leave, he's gonna leave.
I don't say who's motion or who's seconded.
So like, then like, we'll be able to tell.
The parking lot? I said the same thing. It looks like this one. Hey, this one's better than the one they emailed to us.
Yeah, that's how.
When you said David, you all can do what you want, but that can I just.
and start this Senate meeting at 4:01. All right, awesome. Thank you all very much for coming. So today we have the honor of being visited by a very special guest who just walked in, President Inch. Thank you very much. But we also have a very long meeting for today, so I'm going to ask that we try to keep it brief and try to move through some stuff. In the spirit of that, I'm going to real quickly run down roll call. So, Senator Guiber-Miriam. Senator Guiber-Miriam. Do not see. Senator Sharaf.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Larson.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Woldekainen.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Wing.
Howdy.
Thank you. Senator Domenici.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Nick Wynn.
Here.
Sorry, Victor Wynn.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong one. Douglas Robert. Senator Robert.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Wenzel. Senator Wenzel. Here. Senator Rivera.
Here.
Thank you. Now Senator Nick Wynn.
Here.
Sorry, jumped ahead last time. Senator Narala.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Berhanu.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Destin.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Appiker. Senator Appiker. Just saw him a second ago. All right. Senator Mendez-Martinez. Senator Hawk. Do we have anyone on Zoom, by the way? No, it does not appear that we have people on Zoom at the moment. All right. Senator Ziguid.
President.
Thank you. Senator Mesta.
President.
Thank you. Senator Mueller.
President.
Thank you. Senator Parikh. Thank you. Senator Tamim. Do not see Senator Tamim. Senator Blanchard. Amazing. Senator Goff. Here. Thank you. I need to get you placards, my friend. We'll work on that. Senator Jha.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Roiger.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Andrew.
Here.
Thank you. Speaker Novak, that's me. President Zelmer.
Here.
Sway. And Vice President Ibrahim.
Here.
Amazing. All right, then moving right along. No worries. Wait, actually, before you look at this. All right. Next up, our first order of business for today are presentations. We no longer have Vice President Morris visiting, as I said, we will have them next week, but we do have a presentation from President Inch, if you would like to come up and take the podium.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Mostly, my presentation is going to be really short because I'd like the opportunity, as appropriate, to answer any questions or any of the issues that are important to you all that we ought to be thinking about. First off, I want to just say thank you for the work that you do. I learn a lot about how our campus is functioning and whether we're doing the job we're supposed to be doing by talking with you all or being here or talking with your leadership. I have a lot of opportunity to talk to different students in different contexts, and I learn tons by doing that. It's important because sometimes I think it gets too easy to sit in someone's office and not hear what's going on, and I appreciate the feedback, I appreciate the comments, especially about those things that as a university we ought to be looking at how we decide we want to move forward. And over the next few years, I think we have some challenges in front of us and some true opportunities in front of us. If you think about it, you know, the world is changing, and you're in the middle of it. You know as much as anyone the effects of the Fourth Industrial Revolution and what that has had on your own education, the role that technology has played, the accelerated expectations that you all have for not only what you learn, but how well you're going to be able to adapt and move forward into the next decade of your life past here. My hope is that as we begin to steer the university through the strategic planning process that's underway now, is to think carefully about what are the core skill sets and key abilities that every graduating student ought to have so that you are all prepared to engage the world that you're going to face. But moreover than that, I think that it was a time a long time ago when, I did my 4 years of undergraduate work and the university was done with me. I don't think education just ends at your degree. I think it's changed. I think that more likely what we need to be able to do is be a good lifelong partner for you all and figure out as our students go through their lives and careers, how do we align our resources and abilities and expectations to support the work of all of the students of this state who need to learn and have access to education whenever, wherever they are, and however they need it. So we've hired a provost, as you're aware, who has kept his mind on what are the needs that our students have now, but also what will be the continuing or ongoing needs that our students are going to have throughout their educational time, not only here, but as you go into the workforce. And I've been impressed with the work that he's doing, especially in terms of how we make sure that we're targeting our resources the right way, that we're adapting to meet the needs of future generations of students as well as the students that are here now. And most importantly is to make sure that we create the experiences that each of you need and future generations of students are going to need to make you most successful in whatever path you take in your lives, career, community, and families. And I think we need to do that in a way that supports the health and wellness of our community, which is difficult now. You've all come through a very challenging time of 2+ years of pandemic, which added a lot of stress and separation and anxiety. How do we do this in a way that is going to help our mental health as well as our physical health and well-being? And partly that has to do with the kinds of resources we can bring to bear through counseling, can bring to bear through physical recreation programs and health programs to support that work. And then all of this doesn't really matter unless we create a campus that fosters a sense of belonging among all of us, in a community that fosters a sense of belonging in all of us, that we're able to move forward in a way that is inclusive, that invites all voices to the table, and listens to those voices, which is why I appreciate the chance to talk with you all a little bit today, because I want to hear the different voices that ground the work that we do, but also the aspirations of what you would hope for our university in the future. With that, if appropriate, I'd take whatever questions you may all have.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Opening it up for questions. Senator Roberts.
My question is, what does the president view in terms of raising graduate assistant wages to a fair wage in which we can survive?
I think we ought to raise wages more than just graduate students for everybody to have a fair wage by which we can survive. Now, let me tell you part of the reality is, and I'm having this conversation with our different constituents on campus, a university's budget is its strategic plan. We have a budget that is overcommitted by $3 million. Now, some of that goes to areas that maybe we shouldn't be funding as much anymore, but we've chosen to do that. And so what I'm asking all of the different divisions and the faculty and the staff is to think through changing the budget process so that we can free up what I refer to as a strategic reserve. And a strategic reserve is designed to accomplish certain objectives that the university has. Wages is one, but also having different learning support or health center support is another. So as I mentioned, so our total budget's about $170 million in general funds. I have $18 million in strategic requests right now, and we're $3 million over. So we've got to cover a $21 million gap. That's tough to do in a single year because 21 million out of any area or even a combination across the board would be shocking in some areas. But we have to have a process that allows us to free up money to be able to make strategic choices. And so I put it to some of our faculty members and staff members about how do we want to approach shifting resources to cover those areas that have the greatest need. Of the greatest need we have are going to be salary and wages. We have great need in health and well-being. We need to do some more with what we're doing in DEI initiatives, be able to fully fund them. And I feel a little, this is where I could actually use some help. We're putting together a strategic plan that addresses these, but if it's an unfunded strategic plan, what's the point? So I'm telling people, don't put it in a plan if we're not committed as an institution to make those changes. So yes, they're a priority. I think we need to pay wages that are appropriate so that people can live. At the same time, that means we have to make hard choices on the other end of the budget. Where do we want to move the resources from? Now, there is an alternative that I think we ought to work toward, that many of you know that I've been working on. The alternative to doing severe cuts at 18+ million is to bring in different or new revenues. Different and new revenues are those that would be brought if we were, for example, to figure out how to get our transfer students here. We have students that want to come here but struggle coming here because how their credits are applied and transferring from other institutions. I believe very strongly that the minute a student takes a course on any other campus in the system, anywhere in the system, that they should know exactly how that course counts. If we make that easy, we will attract more students, and that helps our operating funds, right? In addition, I think we ought to reconsider exactly what is a student here. Is it only the people here that are 18 to 24? Can we think a little more broadly and begin to imagine growing the university in some other ways that would support being able to make different resource allocations and give us more strategic choices? That's a really long answer to your short question. So yes, I support. I need help in supporting changing out a budget model that would get us there.
Thank you very much. Senator Nguyen.
Hi, thanks for coming today. So during your time as president, what is the most pressing issue you have identified for students, faculty, and staff at Minnesota State University in Mankato?
Alignment of resources. Are they going to the places where they need to go? And are we able to best meet our mission and ask people to do it without the funding to do it, which gets back to the first question. I think we have to have a hard look at how we use the resources the campus has to make sure that we are intentionally investing where we need to, and that wherever we are investing is accountable for those resources.
Thank you very much. Senator Dustin.
Thank you so much, President Ange. So last semester, and I think it was over the course of the summer, international students received an email from the university that the university has decided to transition from a one-payment policy of the international student health insurance to a one-time, from split payments to a one-time payment. And since that decision was made, we have seen a lot of international students raise concern about their ability not to afford paying a one-year insurance. They prefer to maintain the split payments. What is the president's opinion on the outcry of students to maintain the split payment policy?
Well, so there are two rationale behind this, and this has been a subject of debate. So my position is I want to make sure that we do the very best we can to ensure that our students are able to be healthy, access health care, and complete their degrees. So that's my interest. How we get there requires lots of pieces in between, and we have to do that legally and morally and all of that. There are two issues. One is the university has to make a payment, one-time payment for every international student. Whether or not the student makes the payment, the university has to. So if it's split into two, and the student doesn't make the second half payment, then it still has to come out of somewhere. And so we have to choose where that comes out of if we want to go to a two-payment policy. And, there are lots of choices for where that comes out of. That one, I feel, because that would be a strategic choice that we would make, is that we would underwrite the health care of students, which is a choice we could make under the pillar that I focus on about the health and well-being of our campus. If we don't do that, though, in the past, and this is the past memory before I got here, of students that let health care lapse and what happened to them when they had serious instances. The two that I was informed about this morning were one with a cancer diagnosis, one with a pregnancy, and they didn't have the resources to be able to cover either of those and went to collections by hospitals. My view, you're all adults. If you make that choice, you make that choice. Just like anyone else makes the choice, I'm going to go uninsured. I don't think it's the best choice, but people do that. But the first one about how we allocate the resources, that we'd have to decide how we want to focus funds.
Thank you very much. Senator Hawk.
So, thank you, President, for coming with us today. My question to you would be, as Senator Douglas was saying about the payment, to raise the payments for student workers, sometimes we see that the third parties that we have contracted us for such as Sodexo or Barnes & Nobles, we see that they are paying students way less, or at least significantly less compared to what the university is paying. Do you think it's president it would be possible for you to make all payments across campus to be the same? Because if I have to bring into the same amount, it would be that students across campus are getting minimum wage of $12.10, but in Sodexo and Barnes & Nobles are still getting paid $10.50, which is significantly less. And a lot of international students that we see can't find jobs on campus because there are not a lot. So they opt to go to Sodexo, and because of the pandemic and everything, lives back home are becoming more difficult because some of their parents are losing jobs or whatever might have been the case, and sometimes they're supporting themselves here, and it's becoming really difficult when, with inflation and everything, the wage gap to be that much. Is there anything you could do to help the international students or like local students across here to get everyone to be paid on the same scale as they're being paid on campus?
And that's a tough one. And I'll tell you why. Those are private companies. We contract with the private companies, which means that they negotiate with us a contract about how much it's going to cost per meal in this case, or what the margin is going to be in the bookstore. So Sodexo's on a contract. If we were to order them to raise wages or to negotiate with them to raise wages, they would need to raise them the cost of meal service, right? Right now, that would break their contract with us. And it's tough to ask them to do that. We can, in the next contract cycle, say, we should bring wages up, and I believe in that. We should bring wages up even if it costs more, but we still have to balance the level to which you want to pay for your meals too. So if you go up that much higher, but they would not be able to stay within their contract limits if we raised for every student the wages across the board. So that's a tough one. I'll take advice on it if we want to be able to do that. But odds are it can't happen until we renegotiate the contract.
Thank you very much. Senator Roberts.
This is a follow-up from earlier. Sure. Can you make the commitment today that we will prioritize student wages, graduate assistant, and student wages across the board at this university in this upcoming year's budget?
No, I can't, and I'll tell you why. The number one priority for me is we need to ensure that our students graduate in a timely way with a minimum amount of debt. That's more important. Second, we need to guarantee that we're going to do that and erase equity gaps so that every student has an equal opportunity to achieve their educational dreams. While I think salaries are important, and I'll commit to doing what I can there, I'm not going to sacrifice the two higher priorities for me. Now, I can be convinced that I'm wrong with those, and we have a strategic planning group that's going to tell me if I'm wrong with those. But at the end of the day, here are my worries. We lose, after 6 years, more than 40% of our students. Those 40% of our students leave here in debt. And we're not an anomaly. Across the state, there are 800,000 people that have started college or university, amassed some debt, and didn't get a degree or certificate. That's a tragedy to me. We should not lose capable, willing, eager students because of something that went wrong, either because their financial aid expired or there was a problem with advisors, a problem with transfer status. That is something we need to fix. To me, recapturing that 40%, and to be fair, out of the 40% we lose, 21% of them will go on to get a degree or something within 8 years. But it's the others. They're paying back on loans and got no benefit from it. They would have been better not to go. I don't have a higher priority than ensuring every student has access to an education that will benefit them, and that we play any role in anything that undermines their long-term success as a person in a career. I'm not tolerant of that. So I can't guarantee that would be my highest priority.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Senator Destin.
Again, this is a follow-up question to the health insurance one. And thank you for stressing on the issue of retention. I totally appreciate the fact that retention is a really big issue to you as president of the university. So just a little bit of context, we've like surveyed international students about their affordability towards if the university ultimately made a decision to go with the one payment policy. And out of our survey data, we saw that there's a gap between how many students the university is potentially going to lose if the one-time payment policy is implemented. So out of like 123 students, we saw 119 students who took the survey and reported that they rather preferred the split payments because they came on full scholarships in the US. Some of them have lost those scholarships. Their parents have lost their job due to COVID-19. They have to work on campus, which is the only opportunity they have, and they are paying for their own education. So because of this reason, they rather pay split payments than the one payment. And if the university decide to maintain or go with the one payment policy, they would transfer out of the university or drop out of university altogether. How does this balance with your goal of retention? Do you see this to be something that is worrying for you as a president, or do you think the health and the safety of the student, like you said, to maintain a 1 year insurance is more important?
Of course it's worrisome. I'm honestly surprised, though, that 100% didn't prefer 2 payments. I mean, I'd be curious. It's like the 3 out of 4 dentists surveyed recommend sugarless gum. It's like, well, who's the 4th? Because other than the people that have to do the accounting, because that requires staffing and expense, but that's probably a reasonable staff and expense. I would imagine everybody would prefer that because that puts more resources under their control. So I support doing what it takes to keep and retain our students through graduation. I've not seen the research you were speaking of, but this is under active consideration now and looking at what the impact is or the effects are for international students.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Hawk?
Hi, I have another question. So the thing is that we see that sometimes across different departments, they have different criteria for students to get internships, and some of the departments are much more stricter than some of the other departments, making it difficult for students to be able to graduate on time, even if it's just for like maybe 1 internship credit. Is there anything you could do to make this make all the departments on our campus to follow one single type? Maybe just like, for example, to bring into account like maybe engineering and maybe computer science. Computer science does not allow students to get an internship until it's tier 2. But in other departments, which is computer engineering, they do allow it. If I have to say on my own behalf, I have taken internships which was tier 1. And going to the company myself, and I had asked them about it, tier 1 is not actually something depending on work, but it's actually like a pay scale that the company has to use. So is there anything that the university can do to allow students to have, like maybe allowing all of them to have tier 1 to be approved for internships so that all the students across campus can get it and graduate on time than to be just holding back just for 1 credit, or like not having an internship because they were not approved by the department chair or maybe the advisor because thinking it might not be enough work, whereas it is. Because in my internship it was labeled as a tier 1, but the work I did was actually across the entire department, which was actually something like a tier 2 or tier 3.
So there's some things the university can do and some things we cannot. So I believe, which I mentioned at the opening, every student ought to have access to a high-quality, high-impact experience, of which internships are one. There are 5 or 6 others that I think would make sense. We have a very decentralized system, and in a very decentralized system, you get differences that you're expressing. So for example, we've got an organization that contacted me in the city, could do 12 paid internships every year, and they want to know, who do I talk to? That's an awfully good question, because there is no one person on this campus you would talk to. There are 18 you would talk to, and there's no business that's going to do that. If you're a student, how do you even know to get an internship unless your faculty are pointing it out to you? But there's not a really good, easy way for you to track to an internship that meets certain outcomes that would be expected. I think we ought to have some agreement, which I will be asking the faculty to work with me on, and asking the provost to work with me on. We ought to have some standard baseline learning outcomes for any internship that a student takes. That would be a common understanding with, is that for credit and do we expect pay? Should be, in my opinion, yes. And then, so that every student would at least have an access point. Now, departments are going to have different rules because one size doesn't fit all depending on the major. But for most majors, and those that don't currently offer internships, there are baseline standards that we should move toward. And I've asked the people working on the strategic plan process to ensure that we are able to have a standard level for internships, service learning projects, shadow projects, field study projects, global study projects, that we're able to have some baseline standards that make them predictable for students. And departments can layer on what they need to as appropriate for the degree. But even if a sponsoring department didn't have the exact internship, there ought to be some place where a student would be able to get an internship that would be able to give them some field experience. So yes, there are things we can do. That's in process, and I think it's important. I think every single student at this place ought to have a meaningful, high-impact experience, of which internships might be one, or research might be one, or global study, field work. I mean, there are a number of things. But every student ought to have that.
Thank you very much. Senator Parikh.
Asking along the lines of what Senator Roberts mentioned, I do appreciate you prioritizing students who want to graduate, or your priority is to get students graduate. But if, especially talking about international students, we pay entirety of the tuition in a go, and with minimum wage of $10, $12, $14, it might be a bit illogical to expect from us that we pay the entirety of the tuition, but what's your views on that?
Well, in part, we're contractually obligated with two private companies to hold them to a certain budget limit, but they get to pay what they choose to pay, just like anyone downtown gets to pay what they choose to pay. And I don't have a lot of control over what a private business does, other than when we're in contract negotiations. Then we can say, well, we're willing to pay more if you pay more. So that would be the strategy that we would have.
Thank you very much. Senator Roberts.
I know you spoke that there was a lot of issues with advising. How do you think that we should go about solving the issues with advising in terms of this campus?
Well, a few things. One is we don't have the right platform in place to target advising effectively. If you look at, and I don't know the research here, I don't know that we've researched this, but nationally, if you look at the numbers, is that the people that seek advising most are those that are going to earn an A or B with or without advising. And that's great. I'm glad that students have that. I worry more about the students that are C to D that run a risk of not being able to be retained because they will flunk out. How do we make sure that we're directing advising resources there, which means we need to be able to have some insight into whether a student is likely to pass or need help in any given semester given the schedule they have. So we're in the process now of implementing predictive analytics that will be able to look at a student's schedule and determine whether or not that student's likely to pass that schedule, either so an advisor can recommend a swap, try something for something else, or that we can align tutoring or other support systems to that student. That is a better way to use our dollars. And I think our advisors need to be equipped with the tools that will let them do that. The second piece to that is, as we grow our advising system, so we're at the very first few years of a professional advising system working with faculty members. As we grow the advising system, we need to move toward a case management system. Generally, best practices 300 to 400 to 1 for student, and that student develops a relationship over their time here with that advisor so that you don't have multiple advisors, that they know your case and they work with you through your time here.
Thank you very much. Senator Reuter.
So, speaking with the advisors, I know I've had experience working with one after I had some family emergencies that made coming to school just impossible for me mentally. And the advisor I worked with didn't even understand their own policies about academic forgiveness. And didn't understand where to find resources, didn't know who to talk to, and also doubted the other advisors I had met with. So I just kind of wanted to recommend something when working with advising. Maybe just having a training opportunity for them to go through the different university policies, because that's something I had to do on my own and had to really dig for, and I feel like it would have been a lot more beneficial and a lot less emotionally taxing and mentally taxing on me, having to fight so hard to help myself through that. So just wanted to kind of give that kind of...
No, there's no question, and I'll go further, is I think there ought to be regular, if not annual, professional development because rules and policies change, and that I'm a believer in a couple things with professional advice. So when you talk about advising, there are kind of two different things that are going on. There's faculty advising, which is very important in terms of mentoring and helping guide students around career paths or graduate school and that. I'm talking more separately, I think is what you're talking about advisors that help you navigate the rules, policies, I mean the mechanics of what it means to be a student here and how you navigate through getting the courses you need and getting the schedule you need and all of that. That requires a level of expertise, and that requires a level of training, your point, but it also means professional development ongoing so that advisors know what kind of interventions or what kinds of things are most needed in order for a student to be successful. Beyond that, though, I think it's important to develop a career arc for advisors so that we're able to retain them. One of the challenges with a lot of professional advising models is you get hired in to be an advisor, and that's it. You know what I mean? So if you're there for a career, 40 years of doing that one exact job tends not to fit somebody's career arc or what their goals are for their career. And what happens is you get a lot of turnover with advisors. So you get very young people in, turnover, and you lose the benefits of professional development and training when you start with new people. So instead, I think a better way is to reimagine how professional advising works along a career arc where they can have different benchmarks in their career that would help retain them and support the work that they are doing. And you create essentially some master advisors that have some enhanced ability to intervene on behalf of a student. So like you would if you go to, this is going to be, I don't want it to sound trite, but like at an Apple Genius Bar, you know, get triaged up, right? So that the first level, here's what we know that you need, here's what it looks like, but you have a more complicated issue, so we should be able to kick it up to somebody that's further along where their advising career arc looks like. I think that's a very good model and certainly something we should do.
Thank you very much. I want to be conscious of your time as well as the time of everybody here present. So I'm going to limit the speakers list and make this our last call for if anyone wants to get on the speakers list. Right now I've got Roberts and Destin. Does anyone want to be put on last call for it? Oh, you want to get on there? All right, you're going on there. Then in that case, Senator Roberts.
Yeah, I just want a little bit more clarification on the predictive analytics and what you're meaning there. Specifically in terms of, does this mean that we run into autonomy issues in terms of students being able to select their schedule? So would there be a realm of rejection of schedules there? And then another concern is, could this run the risk of being discriminatory in terms of prior history of students?
Well, I'll take the first one. I'm not sure I'm going to understand your second one, so I might need a clarification. Students get to choose what they want to do, right? So let's suppose that I'm taking, you know, organic chemistry, calculus, 400, and 2 graduate courses as an undergraduate. And I'm a C or D student that has not yet passed a math course at this university. My advisor would probably suggest that I try not to take that schedule, particularly with a calculus course if I haven't passed a math course yet, or if I've been straight C in math. The student has every right to say, nope, I've got it, all good. Then what our choice is, I mean, I think this is just about advising a student. This is a particularly hard schedule. You've probably gotten that advice before by other advisors too, is that this is a particularly hard schedule. You might not want to do all of this in one term. It's still your choice. If you do take the choice to do the particularly hard schedule though, I think our obligation, or where our help could be, is, well, maybe you might want to go visit our tutoring center. Let's refer you there so that you'll be able to get support for the calculus course or the organic chemistry course. So this is all the student's choice. I just want to make sure that you are fully informed, and to make you fully informed, we have to have enough data to tell us what we think would be in your interest. But you can disagree to your heart's content. What was the second question?
The second question, let me reframe it better here, is sometimes analytics will sometimes consider race or gender or LGBTQ. So I was wondering, is there the risk of discrimination happening in these predictive analytics?
I guess there would be a risk. I've used this particular tool for a decade, and there's no field that asks for that information. And I mean, essentially, if you look at the indicators of why a student stops out, the most dominant, most common indicator, do you know what it is? There's one dominant common indicator that if we see it, we know that the student's at risk for dropping out. Did they stay on their pathway? You know, your academic path. If you veer and you all of a sudden take something else, that should be a red flag that something's going on. Now, maybe it's something like you're changing a major, but maybe it's something a lot more problematic. Doesn't matter what race, gender, LGBTQ status you are, that will always flag, right? Or if you come in taking under what financial aid requires for you to maintain your financial aid eligibility, that will also always flag. You might want to do that for whatever reason. You get to do it, but it will flag. I think, at least in my use of the tool we're putting in place here, I've not seen that.
Thank you. Senator Destin.
Speaking back about the issue of retention, in my opinion, I think that has to do with inclusive retention of both domestic students and international students. And based on my personal experience as an international student, I feel like there's just so much opportunities for us. For instance, we have the International Student Emergency Grant, which is offered by the Credit International Center, but that amount is like $1,000 for international student who is faced with severe economic situation. And part of the requirement is that you have to be a senior or like a graduated senior before you can get that money. So that, in other words, means international students who are first year, second year, and even third year did have no access to emergency resources that will possibly keep them here. So just because you spoke about retention, I'm very concerned about these students that have no other means of staying at the university, especially when they need to. So my question now could be, at what point can the university cannot afford to maintain an international student here?
I don't know what point it would be we can't afford to maintain an international student, but the point that you bring up, I think, gets to, are we focusing our resources where we need to? And as we go through changing out how we want to budget and how we want to allocate resources, is that an area of strategic concern that we should allocate toward, right? So I don't know what your conclusion means in terms of that, other than I think it comes down to how the university chooses to allocate its resources. And that's an area where we need to make choices about how we do financial aid, emergency grants, and all of that.
Thank you very much. President Zelmer.
Hi, President. I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day and your night to come and speak with student government and share your support and your ideas and answer all of our questions. I wanted to give you an opportunity, something we see a lot in student leadership, and we have a lot of new student leaders around the table, whether that's first-year students or students who just haven't been engaged in student government before. And higher ed often moves slower than our higher ed career, right? We start a lot of issues and then we move on. What advice would you give to us to stay engaged and maybe really make some change at the university that we would like to see?
Yeah, one of the challenges of student government is you're here for a year, and unless you have enduring platforms or initiatives that need to take place, it is tough to have any continuous pressure toward a certain outcome. I think one of the best things that any student government can do is to ensure that there's a very good policy transition from year to year, that you work toward the year, you build your platform. The platform includes the successes you're able to get done in a year, but some of these things are not going to happen in 1 year. They may take 2 or 3 or 4. And the way you move forward there is making sure that the next government that comes in is fully equipped to not start from zero, but to start from where you all leave off. And that means, I think, that you have to make sure that student government is more than just the group that are sitting here. It's all of the potential students that want to have voice in their university, and helping them be very familiar with what the agenda is that you are moving forward, inviting them. I kind of like either brown bag lunches or having like a mock Senate day, but what's it like to be involved, and how is it that you navigate the systems of student government so that the next government steps up and doesn't take a month or 2 months, not that you did, but a month or 2 months to get an agenda moving and get any traction. I think what that means in part is that, well, similar to what we did, is, we meet early in the year. What are the things you hope to accomplish in any given year? We have touch point. I think you invite me back as often as you want, but at least a couple times a year, so we can talk about where we are on any of the issues we talk about. But I would hope at the end of the year that there's a very good annual report that comes out of this that goes broadly, to student affairs leadership, to presidential leadership, to the different areas of the campus, so that here's what's done, here's what's remaining to be done, and here's how you can help the next student government be better. I think you build what you are doing here with an eye toward how do you teach the next generation of student leaders on what are the dominant issues. And believe it or not, the issues that you grapple with and the ones you've brought up here, these are going to be issues next year whether or not you do anything for the next student government, because these are the issues, I think, that are really undergirding a lot of the stresses that our students feel. So it's not going to be telling somebody what to do that they wouldn't have done, but it is giving them a head start in a way that allows you, I think, to continue to have a voice. And, this is not a great term, but I think of it as kind of legacy planning, is that you plan where it is in the longer run you want to go. So like we have a Destination 2030 plan for the university that's in process now. I think it's appropriate for student leaders to do something similar. Now the next Senate may go, maybe not. But I'll bet you most times you have an opportunity to build on more than what 1 year does. Because otherwise, annual voices with annual startups, and it ends at the end of the year, that is challenging for me, because we might start to put in place things that we're talking about here today, but it might not be an issue for next year, but they want to go a different direction. I think it's useful for you to build your voice.
Amazing.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Big round of applause. It was absolutely wonderful. Do we have anybody here for open forum today? Yes, go right ahead.
Hi everyone. I hope everyone's midterms went well if you had them. Unfortunately, Tim Tuchek and Lauren Wojak couldn't be here today, but my name is also Lauren Karnitz, and I am the VP of Council Management on PHC, the Panhellenic Council. Just as Lauren and I were talking about last month, we want to be able to highlight what it is we as a Greek community do and how we're staying involved with other RSOs on campus. Earlier this month, we had our Mental Health Awareness Week, where we partnered with the Counseling Center and held events on campus that gave students resources. We're also currently hosting our Alcohol Awareness Week this week, where we provide education to our members about staying safe with alcohol. We also have been tabling in the CSU all week to provide those resources. We're also very happy with how the social with student government on the 20th went, and we're very happy we got to spend some time with those who attended. Many chapters held philanthropy events on campus this last month, from Phi Delta Theta with their semesterly car smash to Sigma 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 with their Pie a Try and Bake Sale. There are also many chapters holding philanthropy events in the next coming month. We have 4 fraternities hosting haunted houses in the next couple of days, and Gamma Phi Beta with their Spagami event on November 6th, to name a few. For more information on our philanthropy events, check out our social medias. Each chapter will post their individual events, and then the Maverick FSL Instagram page will post them all. Speaking of philanthropy, our VPs of philanthropy, Sam Vestal and Elizabeth Sasma, are hard at work on dance marathon, Mavathon events. On November 11th, Mavathon is hosting a kickoff concert that has student-led performances. Keep a lookout on MNSU Mavathon Instagram page for more information on that. Chapters have been setting up socials and opportunities to attend the games of our adopted teams. We want to continue to support athletics as much as we can while building stronger relationships with them. A little update from our honor societies. This last month, we initiated 17 members into Gamma Sigma Alpha and 20 into Order of Omega. And each chapter has been holding their elections within their chapters for their new executive and officer boards. We will also be going through this change on the Panhellenic Council and the Interfraternity Council in the next couple weeks. This means that our community will have new representatives, new faces, but we are very much still looking for people who are passionate about continuing to work with student government and fostering our relationship. Thank you so much for letting me present on behalf of the Greek community today. We love to be able to show the rest of campus the work that our members are putting in.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Hold on. I'm going to open it up if anyone has any questions. I know they did such a wonderful job. We just want to applaud right away. But any other questions? Seeing none? Now we can applaud.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else for open forum? Anyone else for open forum? No one on Zoom? All right. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move along to the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have any motions or dissent on the consent agenda? Any motions or dissent?
Motion.
Motion from Senator John. Motion from Senator John. Oh, were you trying to move that we go forward with the consent agenda? Oh, that's totally all right. You're good. Don't worry about it. Then in that case, seeing no dissent, I will assume unanimous consent. Unless, do you guys have
just one point of information, just noting for the record the misspelling of Senator Andrews' last name for the ADA Advisory Committee. Just wanted to make sure that we have that corrected.
Oh yes, absolutely. For clarification, Andrea is spelled A-N-D-R-E-A, correct?
R-E-E, actually. It is
R-E-E, so it is spelled correctly on here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it spelled correctly on your placard as well?
No, it is not.
Okay.
I don't know what to do about it, so.
We will work on that. Senator Hawk.
If you could fix my spelling.
Is yours also misspelled?
It's S-I-E and not E. Sorry.
Yes, okay. That will be corrected. Wonderful. Thank you very much. And then, do we have any dissent or motions for the consent agenda? Right, seeing none. There we go. Consent agenda is passed. Then in that case, moving right along, we're going to go to officer reports. Oh, sorry, President Zelmer.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I forgot to do the thing.
Hi friends, I am glad to see you all here today. Also, for all of you that were at the joint committee, I think it was nice to just kind of have a mid-semester check-in. Hope you all liked it. If you hated it, let me know and we won't do it again. Anyways, so I wanted to start out with a few things that went on, but I also just wanted to point out, I know we do separate reports, however, the Vice President and I attend 99% of our meetings together, so we just kind of split it up since we're in separate parts of the agenda, and sometimes we have separate things, but things that I talk about and things that she talks about, we're working on them together, so just to make sure you all are aware of that. The Commissioner of Higher Education for the state of Minnesota was on campus last week on Friday. Edmund and I were able to attend, bring up a couple things to him. We talked a lot about affordability, how the state of Minnesota tends to want to allocate more money to the University of Minnesota system than Min-State, as well as getting back to that 67% as in state statute. The state statute says that Minnesota should provide 67% of the funding for a student's state higher education. Last time they did that was 1999, so I believe most of us at this table were not born yet, so I like to point that out for them as well. But other than that, we talked about mental health, food insecurity, some issues with National Guard and Armed Forces members not getting all their benefits that they were promised in their contract and not getting those on time have come up, so we brought that up to the state as well since that's a state issue also. So brought up a bunch of things with that. CSU Haunted House, the speaker will fill you in more, but I do look forward to seeing you all there tonight. We'll be meeting in the Senate office after. Our room's theme is scarecrows, which I think is a super fun scene, and they are providing costumes and stuff. The people that signed up last week are Danawit, Daiwami, Bezawit, Jordan, David, Sierra, Tentative, and Storm. And then Edmund, you're gonna join as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we'll all be there. If you wanna join, we're just gonna go to the Senate meeting after. So if your name isn't on the list, that doesn't mean you can't come. Everyone is welcome. I'd love if we had the biggest room, like the most people. We're the first room, which means we need to scare people a lot to like start it out good. So we'll meet in the Senate office after this. You can feel free to grab some dinner and stuff. 7 o'clock is when you have to be there. Beyond that, we had a social with Greek life, which was great. We also brought a bunch of people, so thank you for everyone who showed up for that and are filling out their office hours for that. I wanted to do a quick update. Well, before I do that, Elections Commission, if we could get at least one more person, that way we have an odd number, that'd be great, but as many people as possible. I'll say this one, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Elections Commission, if you're not running for anything, is the best commission because you get all the election drama behind the scenes. So lots of fun to be on. I would love to sit on it, but I've been advised by many people against it. But I am proposing some real changes. Anyways, I wanted to give you all a quick update on the Strategic Planning Task Force. President Inch brought this up. That's Destination 2030 he was talking about. Not to be confused with Equity 2030. This is just the university's strategic plan up to 2030. We've been working on some draft goal areas for the last couple weeks. And I'm just gonna go over the titles of them. Feel free to ask me about a specific one if you wanna know more. If you want super in-depth, let's meet outside the meeting, just so then we aren't spending all night talking about this. But one is access, connection, and success over a lifetime. Main idea is equity, affordability, and opportunity, as well as making sure that we aren't just supporting our students when they're here and getting them to the finish line of a degree, but also after they've graduated, we're helping connect them. They still feel engaged with the university and supported. Community of care and belonging, building the Maverick family, holistic approach, equity, diversity and inclusion, safe civil learning environment. That one has a lot to do with advising as well. Meaningful partnerships, providing meaningful choices. This looks a lot about internships, jobs, making sure that what we're providing students will actually help them in their career as they move forward. So you don't do an internship that has nothing to do with what you're gonna do someday, as well as really making sure that we connect them closely. Transformational knowledge creation, learning and engagement. They all have very fancy names. They're not that deep. But so this one, and they all have equity, access, and inclusion in there. But the top one was the main one for that, just so it was its own priority, but they wanted equity to be throughout. A force of knowledge, opportunity, engagement. This reaches on research opportunities for undergraduate and graduate students, as well as making sure we're supporting faculty to produce good research and expand learning and engagement opportunities. And then stewardship, that mostly has to do with budget planning and stuff like that. Making sure that we can quickly respond to things that come up, such as a pandemic or anything else we need to change. I just was reading this today to plan for tomorrow. Moral use of, or ethical use of money isn't on that, so I'm gonna have them add that one. But innovation, technology, fiscally sound. This one also includes keeping tuition low and trying to make sure that students are able to come here and we maintain being one of the most affordable options in the state, especially for what we offer here. So those are just the main goal areas. That's not every little thing that's gonna be in the strategic plan. If you wanna know more about a specific one, feel free to reach out and chat with me and let me know your thoughts. Coming up, parking committee is on Friday, so Bennett's not here, he's still our Res Life person, and then I'll be there. It is open if people wanna come. That's why there's a parking resolution today, because the free lot ends next week. And the reporter was so nice to remind me that I'm on the record with keeping that expanded. So we got that resolution in. And then costume climb on Saturday for Maverick Adventures. It's gonna be the last day of the outdoor climbing wall. That's Saturday afternoon. And then we have a meeting with the provost next week, so if you have anything you want us to touch on with the provost, let us know. I think that's all, so I'll yield and just stop.
Do we have any questions for President Zellmer? Any questions? Yes, Senator Hawk. And then we'll go to the person in the galley afterwards, but Senator Hawk.
So is there any way we can join the parking committee now if there's no off-campus centers there?
So I'm serving as the off-campus rep.
Okay.
But if you all want to join, we just only have 2 votes, and then Sierra's also the RHA president, so she's on the committee as well. But let me know if you want to join. I can let you know what time it's at, and also okay it with the chair, who's actually in the room. It's in the student government conference room, so we don't want to like bring the whole Senate, if that makes sense. Cool.
All right, and then.
And I'll yield to the reporter.
All right, awesome. Yeah, Julia from the reporter.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what time it was and if it was available to the public.
11
11?
Yeah.
11.
All right.
Amazing. All right, do we have any other questions for President Zellmer? Any other questions? Seeing none, Vice President Ibrahim.
Okay. So also I attended the commissioners' meetings, and he talked about how low-income students do not have access to PSEO as much as the other students do. They also mentioned that this is an issue, something they are aware of, so hopefully that can inspire them to look into those challenges, because it's something that should be accessible to all students. This Monday was the President's Commission Status on Women meeting, and we talk about what's the mission of the committee is, which was to support, to improve, educate, and create a leadership for for women on camps. On the camps, okay. There was also a mentoring program proposal. The proposal was a program that talked about how higher education lacks gender and racial diversity among let me rephrase that. There was a mentorship program proposal. The proposal was a program that talks about how higher education lacks gender and racial diversity among institution leaders, such as women and PIPAC individuals. So this group of people are more likely to live in higher education without obtaining jobs. And the purpose of this program was to create leaderships for those people. Okay. Also, it's a mid-semester, so Stormy and I will be checking with all of you to see where you're at with the project that you picked at the beginning of the year, or the first time that you met me and Emma. So there will be a sign-up sheet that's going around, so please write your name on it so we can talk about that. And that's all I have for you. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Vice President Ibrahim? All right, thank you very much. Then I'll go ahead and I'll go with my report. I'm going to start by telling you about the sign-up sheet as that's currently going around. So me and Edie just want to check in, talk to people about how their projects are going, try to figure out if we can help people with anything, and also just like make sure that we are doing everything that we can to support people, as well as just check in generally and make sure that Senate is a warm, welcoming place where we're trying to build a nice community here. You only need to sign up for one of those time slots. You don't need to sign up to meet with both of us, but we both put a lot of times on there to make sure that there's flexibility for everyone to be able to get on there. Other than that, I've also updated and changed my personal office hours for when I'm going to be in the office, and I slapped them on my door in like a really crudely done printed out piece of paper that's great. And so I'm going to make sure to be in the office Monday through Wednesday, 12 to 2, and then on Wednesdays I'm also going to be in there for a little bit longer, so it's going to be more like 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. right before Senate, so that everybody's able to catch me during the mornings at that time. And if you need to catch me afternoon, shoot me an email. Other than that, we also, I was going to touch more on the CSU Haunted Takeover, but honestly, Emma did an amazing job of covering it. So I don't really need to talk on that a whole lot more, but I hope to see a ton of you guys afterwards, because we're going to get spooky and it's going to be so much fun. And while we're in the spooky spirit, I also would like to remind everybody that next week, November 2nd, is our Halloween costume Senate Day. So I want to see a lot of people come here, be super spooky. I'm hoping that we can take some pictures for the Instagram maybe, looking at our PR and marketing coordinator. And I'm also going to do something next week that is really, really going to scare Senator Blanchard. So I think that's going to be really fun. I'll yield for any questions for me real quick before I pass it over to our Dean of the Day. Do we have any questions for me? Oh yeah, go for it.
I also want to say that if you don't have a project right now, we can brainstorm, so you can just write your name in those minutes as well.
Okay, Emma also has something. Go for it.
So the election is under 2 weeks away, right? Yeah, true. My math is right. Okay, so next week, Senator Larson has requested tables. I'm requesting tables for the other day because they told us she could only reserve 2 tables in a week, so we're just gonna request more. So I'm passing around a sheet. We're gonna do 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. No one's on campus on Friday, so we figured we'd just skip it. So sign up, like you can just write down your name and what times you'll be free. There's 4 different sheets, so please write down for all days. I know some of you all are have expressed to some people that you're having issues filling all your office hours. Look at that. Okay, so I'll pass that around.
Amazing. Any questions for me? Any questions? And seeing none, I'm going to pass it over to our Dean of the Day, which is Dean Wallace.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your leadership and for your service. So, Terry Wallace, and I currently serve as the Interim Associate Vice President for Research and the Dean of University Extended Campus. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about what I'm responsible for, and then from there, take some questions. Sound all right? Okay. So as the Associate Vice President for Research, I work a lot with the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs, where we help to support faculty and staff in their grant writing to secure different dollars. President Inge talked a little bit about securing various dollars from different avenues, and one of those is through grants and contracts, so we work there. Also, I work with the Center for Excellence in Scholarship and Research, and with that group, we do a lot of support in various training, Qualtrics training, different research strategy training for graduate students and undergraduate students who'd be interested in accessing that training. You are able to do so. So you can go to that website. The short acronym is CSER. So that's another group that I work with. I also work with the IRB on campus. Some of you probably are familiar with that as well. If you're doing research that relates to human subjects, then you would be involved with the IRB. One of the really exciting things that we do related to students through our research group is that we fund graduate research grants. They're only $1,000, so it's not a lot, but we just recently funded 9 of those. 9 different students were able to get $1,000, so that's pretty awesome. The undergraduate research work really reports through the Dean of Library and Learning, but some of the graduate supports are through us, as well as the Dean of Grad Studies. So that's sort of the research part of it, although there's a lot more to it. One thing I think you might be interested in is that Research Month for all of us is in April. And so in April, we do a lot of different things that occur around research and scholarly and creative works. So that's exciting, and I think truly an opportunity for all of you to learn more about what is happening on campus, as well as to share what you're all doing. So that is fun. This year, we're really interested in identifying some folks who want to do short little videos about the importance of research to them. And so I'll probably be reaching out to Emma, find out, see if we can locate some students who might be interested in doing that. Hi, Nick.
How are you?
Good. Okay, now to the Dean of University Extended Campus. So in this role, I have a lot of different options. I'm really lucky. I have a lot of variety to my work. I have the research, but then with University Extended Campus, I get to work with strategic partnerships. Most specifically, I work out of the Strategic Partnerships Center, which is downtown Mankato at the Hubbard Center. We have a bus down there. We have free parking and food trucks, although I think the food trucks finished this just today. So in the spring, you can come and visit. But what we do there is we connect with our community. You hear the president talk about connections and partnerships with community and industry and internships and lots of different ways in which we do that. In fact, we wrote a couple of different grants this year that have been really instrumental in creating ways in which we can help our community through our faculty and staff in collaboration with all of them. The two that we have right now, one is around ag and food, and so that's a pretty exciting adventure. The other one is around entrepreneurship and starting new businesses, and specifically in the high-tech area. So please, if any of this stuff sounds interesting to you, reach out to me because I can certainly share more about it. The other aspect of the Dean of University Extended Campus is the work that we do at Edina and all of our off-campus sites. So we have programs in community colleges, Normandale, you've probably heard, up on the Iron Range. In fact, I was just there this week on Monday, and it was just fascinating to see what they're doing up there. But we have a lot of different relationships and partnerships that we develop and maintain in partnership with others. So with admissions, with faculty and staff, with deans, so across the institution really. The other area that I do work on, and I know last year I told you about this and I had some follow-up on it, but we do have fully online programs. Now these are not just online courses. These are the fully online programs, and we do have some of these. We work hard on these programs with faculty and staff, and so that is also something that is under or within my portfolio. So we're continuing to improve that as we go, and in fact, the Provost Hood, has called upon me, and I'm happy about it, to begin to work on having standards for our course design. This last year we invested not only in the wonderful work that our instructional designers do and our CETL and others do on campus, but we also invested in a training for those instructors who teach fully online, how to be really effective instructors. And so we're doing a lot of that sort of work too that I thought you'd probably find of interest. It's important for our students to be successful. We have to be really good at doing those things. Another priority for me in my work this year related to University Extended Campus is on transfer. I think you heard the president mention that. Transfer is a big deal. It's a really big deal. And so we want to be more transfer friendly, and in doing so, we work across the institution, right? It's really it's broad. It's admissions, it's registration, academic records, it's curriculum, it's University Extended Campus and our partnership. So there's a lot to do, and we have a lot of excited people to kind of take another look at that and find ways that we can continue to grow and improve. And maybe that gives you a general sort of snapshot of what I do. I'd be happy to take any questions you might have now, or certainly via email or any other way. But right now, if you have any questions, anybody?
Do we have any questions for Dean Wallace? Yes, Senator Wayne.
So as the governing body for students of our university system, what advice, if any of you have, for us to ensure we're being equitable to those students who might not happen to be on our campus?
Oh, wow, such a great question. I would almost turn that back and see if you have any advice for us on that topic. Do you have something on your mind?
Not necessarily. I know last year we did have a senator who was elected, and she was part of our satellite camps.
Yep.
And wasn't actually attending classes, and so that's just trying to be mindful of that as there are students both here and elsewhere in the state. We want to make sure we're being fair and equitable with them as well.
Yeah, we really do. I think one of the things, just by allowing and having Zoom, having people be able to participate remotely is a beautiful thing. So that's definitely one strategy. But do others have things in mind?
Senator Hawk?
I would like to comment on the question.
Sure.
Is there, like, we see some classes, some students who are here enrolled as a full-time student, but because of some reasons, they might not be able to attend classes in person. Is there any way that some of those classes could be allowed to be taken like a high flex way, or is it gonna be when they say in person, if there's possible for you to make a flexibility for some students who are not here, but to still be able to attend those classes remotely?
Well, I think that's a great question, and specifically that's going to be the decision of the faculty member who's teaching that class. But I think increasingly you're seeing more flexible options for our students generally. Wouldn't you all say that? Are you seeing more? No, you're not. Emma saying no. Okay. All right. Well, that's something for me to take back and to have more dialogue and conversation about. But yeah, thanks for that. I'll have to look. I can look into that a little bit more. But that is not really something that I would be able to influence. But I could share that that's a desire. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. President Zelmer.
I'll expand on my head shakes.
Yeah, thank you.
Context. High Flex is something that the university and students invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into. I don't know the number, but I'm assuming that much tech costs a lot of money. And High Flex is only being used by certain departments. There's certain classes. I think of, my physics lecture, right, where it's just a lecture that the lecture part could be online, right? But there is no hybrid option. There's no Zoom option. Even if you're sick, I could need to go home. I could catch COVID. I can't go to class because COVID's still around. But certain departments, not just the hard sciences, but others as well, there is a point where, and also, we've seen the opposite where students signed up for a class they thought would be in person that ended up only being a Zoom class and not having an in-person option. So we're kind of seeing this weird middle place where students maybe think that they sign up for a high flex class and not have that option. And I think high flex is an equity issue where if we really want to think about how we can support students who are off campus, I think to some extent our student groups are doing a better job of having high flex meetings than our classes are, which doesn't allow students to take advantage of internships up in the Twin Cities. If you're just gone one day a week, that means you might graduate a semester later now because you'd have to take a class in person. Or you really want to take an in-person class and the faculty member only wants to offer it on Zoom. I get the accessibility options that faculty get, but we're if they're concerned about catching COVID, they should be able to offer it on Zoom. But if students are concerned about catching COVID, they should be allowed to join class via Zoom and not be forced to go in person. So there's my 2 cents. I've also shared that with the faculty union, so it shouldn't be news to them. But yes, thank you.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I know we want to have, you look at some of the conversations that are happening at the Strategic Planning Task Force, and it's flexible delivery options. So thank you for that. Any other final comments?
Yes, we do, from Senator Roberts.
Emma pretty much did most of the job here, but the one thing I wanted to add here was, what was it now?
You can use redundancy if Emma covered it.
No, it was something else. I'll email you.
Yes, Teresa. It's TERESA.Wallace. And I'll watch for that email.
Amazing. Do we have any other thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none? Oh, I'm so sorry. Senator Ja.
So I know if you would be in charge of that. I want to talk about summer courses. So this summer I took a few courses and I also had an internship But luckily I got like few hours off my internship and I was able to do that courses. The professors refused to let me take it online. But the thing is that usually during the summer people have internships or they're home, especially like international students, they're back home too. So it's really hard for them to catch up with their classes because again, like if your department is like small, they don't really offer all the classes like every semester.
Sure.
So that is also turns out to be like a big problem for students.
I think a greater percent of the courses are online than what is typical, but I understand what you're saying. I can share that too.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, and I enjoyed being here.
All right. All right. Before my speaker report is technically over, I'm going to throw in one more final thing, which is that for that sign-up sheet that's going around for meetings, I'm also going to email out an Excel spreadsheet to the people that weren't able to be here today in person and are either on Zoom or missed today. So you fine friends are also getting some. Oh, I looked at the wrong camera. I don't know which one is being used right now. This one? Maybe. Yes. But moving right along, we're going to go into senator reports. And we have moved Senator Berhanus to next week. So, Senator Dagmawi.
Okay. Hello everybody, my name is Dagmar Yabera. I am College of Science, Engineering and Technology Senator. For my project, since I'm computer engineering major, I wanted to work something in my department, Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering Technology. First, I tried to gather some infos about what problems and issues computer engineering and electrical engineering students having, and I talked to some students in both programs, and I also had a meeting with the department chair, Dr. Wu. Some of the major problems in these programs were finding the very first introductory class to these programs very hard and not being basic. Dr. Wu also mentioned that in the past 4 years, the department encountered that many students are changing their majors after taking this first class, which is EE 106. I tried to discuss with the students what they would think would be a best solution for this, and I was told that taking EE 107, which is the second introductory class before that, and I brought this idea to Dr. Wu, and Dr. Wu told me that this is a great idea, and the department is also giving this a thought and already working on having these two classes taken at least concurrently instead of in separate semesters. And Dr. Wu also mentioned that the department would consider the idea of taking this class EE 107 before EE 106, which I also personally support the idea, because not only I think it would be easier for students to start off the programs, but also the class taking the class EE 106 later would be easier to get along with future classes. Other things that student mentioned was having math pass sessions in this department. This is also something that I'm really passionate about, and surprisingly, when I brought this idea to Dr. Wu, Dr. Wu wasn't aware fully about the idea of math pass, how it works and everything. I had to explain it to him a little bit. And Dr. Wu really liked the idea, and we already chose 3 classes that we think students are really struggling in this department, and we are working on having at least one of the classes to be in math pass on the coming academic year. Besides Math Pass, there are also some RSOs like IEEE which are giving tutoring sessions in these programs. I'm also an officer in IEEE. I saw that not much students are coming for those sessions, so we try to discuss ways that we can attract the students to attend the sessions, and we're planning to work with the KIC, having international students given a scholarship point for the amount of sessions they have attended, And also we are trying to work with other students which can also apply for international students that they can get extra credits by discussing with some professor which are willing to give extra credit for the students who attended certain amount of tutoring sessions. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. I would stand for a question.
Amazing. Do we have any questions for Senator Rivera? Questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. All right, next up we have Senator Jung. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So my Senator report is pretty short. So I'm working on project of getting grad cords for the community advisors in Res Life. And 2 weeks ago, I met with Torin, and he told me to formulate like a plan with the budget and what all cords, other official colors of cords that our school uses. With that, I talked to the graduate office to ask them what official cords they have, and they referred me to talk to Barnes and Nobles for that. Yeah, so I'm gonna be talking to Barnes and Nobles pretty soon. And I also met with Bika, the program advisor, and we talked about how to get more people to join community councils in Julius years, because that's one of the places where we see very few amount of people joining community councils and showing up for RHA. And then when we talked, she mentioned that she had done a project very similar to mine when they were like a CA back in their time. And then Bika guided me on what to do and how to do it. And I also just received, a few minutes ago, received an email from Cindy. And she said the same thing, to talk to Barnes & Noble to know the official colors of the grad cords. Thank you. I stand for questions.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Senator John? Yeah, Senator Blanchard.
It's kind of a question and suggestion. If you want to join the bookstore advisory committee, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Library and Bookstore Advisory Committee,
It's
3
Mondays.
p.m. on Mondays.
It's Mondays at 3 p.m. and then you can talk directly to Barnes & Noble.
I would think about that. Thank you.
Really on that recruiting grind there.
I don't want to do it alone.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions for Senator John? Senator Nick Wynn.
Yeah, I see you do graduation cords. Is there any way you can get student government graduation cords too?
We have cords.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
True. All right. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. All right, and finally, we have Senator Roiger.
All right, so I promise this will be short and sweet because this is already a long meeting. So last time I was up here, I had just gotten appointed to the Student Allocations Committee. Yesterday we had elections for chair and vice chair, and I was elected to the chair position, and I'm looking forward to diving deep into that budget and looking at how we're allocating funds and looking at the programming and how we really make sure that what we are helping fund is being helpful to students and is being used efficiently and proactively. Let's see. I've been reaching out to groups for senators that our senators for academic affairs would like to have present. I'm excited to say we'll have TRIO support services at the November 2nd meeting and the provost for sure before the end of the semester. I also attended coffee and conversations with the provost, and we got to learn about his goals for the university and for his for getting through the rest of the year. I also brought up a very important point about our professors needing to learn how to use some of the technology that they are being given. As I know, at least personally, I'd rather focus on learning the material versus instructing my professor how to use the technology we're using. So looking at that, and then I've got some projects as a senator that I'm currently still mapping out to work. So that's it.
Amazing. I see a question from Senator Roberts.
Just because I'm curious, who's the vice chair?
I'm gonna butcher the name, so if you are watching, I am so sorry. Kier Karmacharia? I believe that's correct.
Thank you very much. I think it may actually. Oh no, it's not on the list. Never mind. I was like, it's possible that it's on the appointments list, but we don't put the appointments for SAC as the chair, vice chair here. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Then I would also like to check, did all of the sign-up sheets get stuck over there?
Yeah. Sorry.
Would you mind passing them along? No, you're so good. I just wanted to give you guys that break to do that if needed. Awesome, thank you. Then in that case, moving right along, we're gonna get into, we have a motion?
Motion to waive the reading of the vacancies.
Do we have a second? Second, any dissent? Is there anyone here who is going to run for a vacancy? No. Okay. Then in that case, seeing no dissent, we will waive the reading of the vacancies. New business, we have a parking resolution on the table, which was motioned by President Zelmer and seconded by Vice President Ibrahim. President Zelmer, as the first, do you want to speak on this first?
Yeah, sure. So I am very open to friendly amendments to this. I realized that this deadline was coming up, and I was like, oh, we should probably have some say in the matter before the parking committee meets. That way they can know where student government stands. Backstory, and people who were on Senate last year during discussion, feel free to add something in. But last year they passed a parking and transportation resolution. I don't have it. We don't have documentation that we're starting a resolution binder this year, so we can actually see what'll set it to pass a bit easier. So the free lot was expanded into the back half of lot 22, which is the orange lot, until November 1st. We've been pushing for the free lot, at least in my, having been here for longer than I'd like to admit, for a while, trying to get it expanded, because as you all know, free lot fills up during the semester, especially Tuesdays, Thursdays during high class times. I don't know if any of you all have done it, but I've followed people in my car like it's Black Friday trying to get a parking spot at the mall. It's kind of like that in the free lot sometimes. The free lot was expanded until November 1st. That's next week. Not only should we continue to have the free lot expanded, some background is also that faculty and staff also get to park in the free lot. That's always kind of been a topic of discussion in the committee. However, at least personally, I believe that faculty and staff deserve an option for free parking as well, because they work here. If I was a faculty member, I'd be like, I want to be able to park for free even if it's out in the boonies. So I'm hoping that we can maintain the free lot. After it's no longer free, it will be $30 for a pass. I also don't know what students will pay $30 to walk an extra, just to not have to walk an extra couple feet. And also I'm concerned about the parking tickets and the enforcement when it's no longer free. So I think that we should just maintain having the back half of lot 22 free. The reason that I didn't make it the full lot 22 is I don't want to push our luck. I know the argument's going to be that they've already expanded it and that this was temporary, and that's why they want to make sure that the budget meets. The free lot is subsidized by the other parking lot passes, whether that's gold. I believe some other might be in the mix, but that's the reason it's paved. I called my dad, who was here in the 90s, on my way in from the free lot, trying to get him to buy me a parking pass. He said, just be happy it's paved now, and hung up on me. So I think that it's important that we consider that the back half, at least to my understanding, has been enough to make sure that there's enough spots for everyone. So we should just kind of keep it where it's at. I don't want to ask for too much and then get shot down on maintaining the back half, if that makes sense. Although, if the option is open, obviously we will push to expand free parking in general further, but this is just trying to keep the free lot expanded. And also I'm hoping that obviously open to friendly amendments. If there's going to be a ton of discussion, we don't have to pass this today. If everyone's like, yeah, this sounds cool, I'm hoping a motion to expedite this. That way we can bring it to the parking committee on Friday. I yield.
To our second Vice President Ibrahim.
I just want to add to that, like, I support this resolution because not only will it be helpful for students who lives on campus, but also students who lives off campus. When the free lot is full, there is no other place for students to park, which is creates accessibility issues.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Then in that case, we will now open it up for questions followed by discussion. Do we have any questions? Is this a question? No. Okay. Seeing no questions, we'll move straight into discussion. Discussion points. Motion on the table from Senator Roberts.
I have a motion that I hopefully would be considered as a friendly amendment to, that's just a set of just grammar stuff, to add a comma after November 1st of 2022.
In which?
On that first line, right here, instead of the period, make it a comma.
Oh, okay.
And then another one, and then a semicolon following receiving parking tickets. Then the capitalization of student government.
What else you got?
And then this one may be one that may or may not be accepted, but at the end of, after lot 22 free, I would like to add the word permanently. And then, if possible, I have the additional amendment, if accepted, of be it further resolved, student government calls for further expansion of the free lot.
Speakers list, please.
Oh, sorry. Yes, President Zelmer.
I'm open to all the commas, semicolons, and capitalizations, and permanently. Second, do you agree for those ones?
I do.
For the be it further resolved, I kind of explained this earlier, which,
yes, I know.
I mean, I read yours, so that was where that came from. Maybe instead of being like we push for continuing to the continued expansion, just say student government still would like to see more affordable parking options in the future. I get the point. I don't, as I said earlier, I don't want to push our luck.
I'll accept the amended.
Okay, let me think of the wording on that while discussion goes on.
Okay, then in that case, Senator Hawk.
If it's possible, could we motion to expedite voting on this so that Emma could bring it, President Zelmer could bring it up to the meeting on Friday?
Absolutely, we can vote to expedite. I assume that's a motion to expedite then?
Yes.
Then do we have a second on a motion to expedite? Second from Senator Blanchard. I'm just going to do it this way. Is there any dissent on expediting this amendment, or expediting this resolution? Any dissent? Seeing no dissent, I'm going to assume unanimous consent. I also don't see any from the Zoom. So I'm going to assume unanimous consent. We will expedite. We will vote on this today. All right, sweet. Then in that case, did you have something, Destin?
No, I think I would yield to redundancy.
Yield to redundancy. Do we have any other point? Yes, Senator Wing.
Just a motion to amend on grounds like the formatting, just for double space. Double spaces in the centering, but also including who the motion was by and who the second was for futures.
Right, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's just like
Normally we will include the who the motion was by and who the second was, so is the friendly amendment to double space accepted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need it in Times New Roman also, or?
Yeah. All right. Hold up. Motion from Senator Roberts.
Okay. Motion, if accepted as a friendly amendment, be it further resolved, student government encourages continued expansion of affordable parking.
we've accepted friendly amendment.
Have you accepted?
I do.
Okay, cool. With that friendly amendment accepted, I now pronounce you guys wife and wife. We're gonna go ahead and do we have any other points of discussion?
Or friendly amendments at this point.
Senator Blanchard.
Question.
Call the question. Any second to a call to question?
Second.
All right. Any dissent on a call to question? Any dissent? Seeing none. All right. We're going to go ahead and vote. We will vote this one by raise of placards. Again, the options are in favor, opposed, and abstain. All in favor, please raise your placards. All right. And will those on Zoom please either raise a hand or indicate via chat? It looks like everybody in the room. Placards down. And then all opposed. All abstentions? Okay, yep, everybody in the room.
And no votes on Zoom.
No votes on Zoom yet. If we get another vote on Zoom in a sec, I will count that. But as of now, that was a very clear yes for a unanimous passing of the amended resolution. So sorry, what was the name of this? I don't have it. Resolution to continue the expanded free parking is passed. There it is. Nice. All right, moving right along, we're going to move to our old business from last week, which we will also be voting on today, which is the International Health Insurance Resolution. So I will open it up and reserve the right to the first and the second to speak on this first. Senator Destin, would you like to speak?
Hi, Senate. So I know we talked about this last week to a point where I felt so emotional. I had to cry and everything. So today, I don't want to talk too much about it, but just for the sake of those who were not here, the International Student Health Insurance Resolution is basically the voice of international students, like the stories of how they cannot afford to pay 1 year insurance that would jeopardize their retention here at the university. So we did a survey of over 100 students, and majority of them pledged their support for split payments, which gave us more reasons to advocate for that change, to advocate for split payments to be maintained here. And just a context, international students do not have the same level of opportunities that their domestic counterparts have. Not like in the sense of competition, but we are all students, and I think we all deserve the same opportunities that make it possible for us to be here and studying at the university. Unfortunately, international students only get to work 20 hours of campus job, which can barely enable them to afford their housing, food, and everything else. Balancing that with tuition and having to pay a 1 year full insurance. We think that's a lot of financial burden on students, and we want for split payments to be maintained so that students can be able to afford their health insurance and balance that with other expenses they have to make. And that is basically what this resolution is about. I will yield to my second if he has anything else to say.
Senator Roberts.
So, as I've said before, I am no international student, but the stories that I have heard and the fact that every single one of our constituencies have international students who are desperately calling for this policy, this resolution that we have called forward. I think that we all have an obligation to vote yes for this resolution today, and voting no is a pure disrespect to our constituencies and the international students who are desperately clawing for an opportunity to succeed, and it's a retention issue as well. I have already told the stories of the international students. I think that we've all heard the horrific stories of what could happen if split payments are not maintained. So I think that we have an obligation, we have a moral and ethical obligation to pass this resolution today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Question from Senator Wing?
Yeah, I was just wondering if this was a Mankato decision or was this a Minskew decision? Because I'd like to just clarify some language, possibly.
You guys can answer that.
Yeah. So specifically the split payments aspect, that is a Minnesota State University thing.
Okay.
MnSCU doesn't manage that part of the policy.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Any questions? Seeing no questions, we're going to move into discussion. Do we have points of discussion or motion/amendments? Motion on the table from Senator Roberts.
We're just going to announce our own friendly amendments, cleaning up the resolution. So, first one, on the third whereas line, we'll be eliminating the words a 1 year. On the fourth whereas, we'll be exchanging the words to get 1 year with one-time payment. On the sixth whereas, we'll be replacing from pocket to out of pocket. We will be replacing, we'll be removing at the first be it resolved, after the words university reconsiders its decision, and those words will be stricken from the resolution. And then at the very bottom, at the be it further resolved, we'll be removing next semester and the semesters ahead and replacing it with next year. Additionally, we'll be adding a whereas between number 6 and number 7 of the whereases, with the whereas the results of the International Student Healthcare Survey were 117 out of 123 international students supported split payments of those taking the survey.
And Senator Destined, I assume that you are accepting all these as well? Okay, sweet. I wasn't able to keep up with all those, so I would love for a copy of this.
Yes, we have the edited copy up here.
All right. Do either of you have a motion? Because I know that you went up before President Zelmer.
I was gonna motion first, but on voting because as you all have been talking about it, most of us are on favor of it, than to just vote and to just have a discussion and make this meeting longer.
Okay. I'm gonna. I'm gonna entertain President Zelmer's motion first. Then.
Oh, I didn't have a motion.
Oh, never mind. You were raising your placard. I thought it was it. Okay. Then in that case, I would have called on Senator Hawk.
We have to go through with the motion.
Yeah. So we're going through with that motion. There was a dissent, so we have contention. How we're going to do this is by raising placards. Raise your placard if you would like to immediately call the question, and then you can. And then afterwards, I'm going to ask if you are opposed to calling the question or abstaining. Opposed to calling the question just means we're going to talk about it for a little bit longer, but we will still vote on it. So, first of all those in favor of moving previous question and voting now, raise your placard. Anyone on Zoom?
Zoom's not voting right now.
Point of order, we didn't have a second.
Oh, true, we didn't have a second. Thank you so much for the point of order. Does anyone wish to be the second? Blanchard for the second for Senator Hawks, and then we had our dissent, so we're still in this. We had 11 in favor. Can we get all of those who are opposed to raise their hand or placard or vote over Zoom? I believe this is majority. It is majority. John, it is majority for calling the question, right? Or is it 2/3?
It is 2/3.
It's 2/3, you say?
Yes.
Okay, then in that case, we do not have 2/3 to call the question, so we will continue discussion. All right, now President Zelmer.
Just a note on the new whereas about the results of the survey. The wording says that 117 international student support split, right? But 25% of the survey respondents were domestic students. I just don't want us to misrepresent the survey in the resolution. Okay, so either, like, we can say results of the survey reflects support for split payments from international students. That way they can't be like, this is completely false.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
And I accept.
Okay. Accepted. Senator Wing.
Just motion for a friendly amendment just to include on the second whereas statement, Minnesota State University Mankato instead of just the university, as it's kind of ambiguous.
I
Just to
accept.
ensure
I
that, because
accept
we've
that.
got strewn stuff strewn throughout, like ensuring it's Mankato centric.
Accepted.
Does the second also accept?
Yes, I accept.
All right, wonderful. Do we have any other discussion points or amendments? Thank you very much. At this point, oh, yeah.
Motion to call question.
Motion to call question. I was just about to do it for you, but we got a second. All those in favor of calling the question, raise your hand, placard, or vote over Zoom. I see one in the chat. Can I see what the chat says?
That was me asking for votes earlier.
Got you. Okay, never mind. Then in that case, placard's down. We will now go into a vote on this.
Also voted yes. Sorry.
Okay, in the same way that we did the last resolution, we're going to do in favor, opposed, and abstain. So placards or hands up if you are in favor of this resolution. Senator Wing just walked back and is like, I'm not going to abstain from this one. I'm in favor. All right. Placards down and hands down. Any on Zoom? Yep. Okay. Another one on Zoom. And then any opposed? No opposed. Any abstentions? Okay. Looks like that is also going to pass. So, the International Student Insurance Policy passes. That's been something in the works for a very long time. Must feel very good to have got that done. We love to see it. So, moving right along, that concludes our new and old business. We're going to go ahead and move into announcements. Do I see something?
I'll let Senator Wing go first.
Okay, Senator Wing, go right ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to note, because I'm Senator of Humanities and Social Sciences, that also encompasses our fine arts programs, and we have a large number of performances this weekend. We've got vocal precision and I'm forgetting on the other name for the other acapella group, but they're both performing this weekend. Our concert choir, university chorale, and chamber choirs are all performing this Sunday at 3 p.m. at St. John the Baptist Catholic Church downtown. And there's some other performances this weekend too. If you're interested in attending any of those, please let me know and I can get you some more information on that.
Thank you very much. Senator Domenici.
So, not many of you know, but every year we have International Festival. And this year it's going to be on November 13th. What is the International Festival? It's a festival where all the nations can participate and share their culture. We'll have cultural booths, including food booths where you can try different foods from different countries that students will cook. We will have performances where students can dance, sing, and share their culture again. We still need volunteers for that. We need volunteers and coordinators of volunteers for Children's World, entertainment, food, cultural booth, decorations, promotion, and security. So if you have friends who are seeking scholarship points, coordinators get 3 points automatically, and other volunteers get from 1 to 3 points as well. If you don't need points and just want to participate, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, just attend the event. The deadline to submit the cultural booths application as well as the performance application is this Friday, actually, which is October 28th. So please do so if you want to share a piece of your culture. And if you need more information, please contact me or Kearney Center.
Amazing. Thank you very much. President Zomer.
So I wanted to make an announcement that the second half of the International Student Healthcare payment for this year is due on November 1st. So if you are an international student or know international students, make sure to remind them to make sure that their insurance doesn't lapse. And if they need help finding resources, I don't know the resources, but make sure to connect them with the KIC to see if they can set up a payment plan, anything like that. Other than that, I will see you all in the student government office right after this to get ready for the haunted house so we can scare people. And also they're providing dinner, if we didn't say that earlier. And then Kellyanne Klink, who is online. Kellyanne is like the IFO liaison with us, as well as works in the library. So if you need any help with research, a lot of you all are saying, oh, like you're working on this project, you need some extra assistance. She's a great resource. We've been using her to work on some like name change as well as like location of the prayer space stuff. So her email is kellyanne.klink@mnsu.edu. Great resource if you want to know about what's been done in the past, what are some routes, what other universities do. That way we can make sure that we have the right research to go forward and really be able to advocate strongly for things. I yield.
Thank you very much. John Volkoff.
Thank you, Speaker Novak. I have the posters for the remaining Rental 101 information sessions if anybody would like them. I also have housing fair posters if anybody would like those. And then also, if you care to check it out, our new official off-campus housing website launched yesterday. And so you can see that information on these flyers going around. I don't want to take up your time by pulling it up, but you can check it out. It's pretty flashy. It's nice and functional. If you would like to test it out so that you can be able to show people about it, please go there and create an account. If you are to use the roommate finder, we've got it protected so that only people associated with the university can use the roommate finder. You have to log in. You use your star ID and password to log into that. So it's integrated, and you can check out the new and improved website. We're excited about it. First housing fair of the year is next Tuesday, so if you'd like to stop by, 10 to 1 on Mav Ave.
Thank you very much. Senator Nick Wynn.
Hi, so as a College of Science senator, one of the events we're having in the College of Science is a Women in STEM luncheon. It's going to be on Monday, November 7th at CSU 253. So if you're interested, anyone can attend. It's a great way to network.
All right. Thank you very much. Inman.
Okay, I have one announcement. So the President's Commission on the Status of Women is having a panel discussion regarding for the current state of reproductive health care access in Minnesota this Tuesday coming November 1st, 5 to 6:30, CSU 101 Heritage Room. So if you go, which I'm hoping all of you go, if you have the time, it will count as office hours. And that's all I wanted to share with you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mark Constantine.
Yeah, we're celebrating a birthday tomorrow. The CSU is turning 55 tomorrow. So if anybody's looking for a free piece of cake, 11 o'clock downstairs in Mav Ave by room 123, we got a couple big cakes that we're offering to all the students with. We got a couple pictures there. One of the cakes has old pictures of 1967 when we first started, and the other one has some new pictures on it as well. So they won't last long, hopefully, because the cake will go quickly. But if anybody wants to be there early to see those, come on down and help us celebrate your building, okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other announcements? Any other announcements? And seeing none, we'll go ahead and move right along to roll call. So, all right, I see a motion on the table. I was trying to keep my head down. Motion on the table.
Motion to suspend, second roll call.
Motion to suspend, second roll call. I assume these are seconds? Okay, these are seconds. Do we have anyone abstaining, or opposed? Anyone opposed to waiving second roll call? Do not see anyone opposed. Second roll call is waived, and I will call this meeting adjourned at whatever time it is.
5:52.
5:52.
Oh, I really did, because it wasn't 6 yet. That used to be the rule of thumb. If it was 6, you could call it. If it's not 6,
you call it.
Just fight the clock.
Anybody in operating procedures?
Do it. Yes.
All right.
Table it. Emma has it.
Look at this.
I do have it.
I'm happy with it.